Hi, I'm Charlotte. I'm a clinical scientist. I work for the NHS and I work doing the genetic diagnosis of children that have mitochondrial disease. And I'm just going to take this opportunity to talk to you a little bit today about the work that I do and work that my colleagues do. So to give you a bit of background, I'm going to start with what are mitochondria? So mitochondria are small organelles, so they're part of every cell in the human body that has a nucleus. So the only cell that does not have mitochondria in it are the red blood cells. So it's a good pop quiz question, that one. Might come up, you never know. So the structure of a mitochondria looks something a little bit like this cartoon. So they've got double membranes, so there's a membrane around the outside, which is this smooth line here, and then there's this convoluted, juddery, pokey-inny bit that goes around here. And the function of this inner membrane is to make sure that there's really loads of surface area. So the mitochondria do lots of important things, and the surface area is really important so that they can have enough room to be able to do it. So the function of mitochondria, amongst other things, is to produce energy, which is why every cell in your body has it, because every cell needs energy for various things. So the cells which need the most energy are things like your brain, your central nervous system, your muscles, so things like your heart and your leg muscles. Everything needs energy. So, next question. What is mitochondrial disease? So mitochondrial disease happens when the mitochondria can't function properly. And there's lots of different things that can go wrong. So my job trying to find out what's gone wrong is really interesting, and I really, really enjoy it. Some of the stories from the families are absolutely heartbreaking. The children often don't have a very good prognosis, so that means that if you have mitochondrial disease, there isn't a cure, and although we can treat some of your symptoms, there's not an awful lot sometimes that we can do for these families. But if we can find what was the cause of the problem, then we can offer the families the opportunity to have healthy children in future, which for them is absolutely important. So the way that we diagnose mitochondrial disease is using a multidisciplinary approach, which means that we have lots of people involved in trying to solve the problem. So we have the doctors that see the patients, and we as scientists trying to find out what, and also we have a panel of researchers that we work with, and they try and understand why things have gone wrong. So they try and understand what the different proteins do, what the different genes do. So the genes are like words in a recipe book, and they make proteins, which are the ingredients, and then all of the ingredients come together to make the mitochondria, which is like the cake at the end of the recipe. So we don't actually see the patients, but we do see their samples. So the samples might be a little piece of muscle, so that's called a muscle biopsy, and that's taken under general anaesthetic for children because they generally can't sit still. If you come at a small child with a little pair of scissors to take a bit of muscle, they're not going to like it. So they need to have a muscle biopsy, and that's expensive. It's not very nice for the family to go through, and it also carries a risk. So general anaesthetic can affect the way that your body works, really. And if you're healthy, that's generally fine. But if you have mitochondrial disease, that can have additional sort of risks with it. So you've got a very fine balance of how your body's producing energy. And when you go under general anaesthetic, it can tip it into the way that you're then having problems, really. So if we can avoid doing a muscle biopsy for children, that would be really good in future. And that's actually where my research fits in. So I've got some money from a part of the NHS called the NIHR, which is the National Institute for Health Research, and they have given me some money to do some research into removing muscle biopsy from part of the diagnostic process, really. So instead of these children having muscle, which then will give us some clues as to what the problem is, we can actually use new sequencing technologies and just look at all of the possible spelling mistakes in all of the possible words in all of the possible recipes to find out what the particular mistake was, what the error is. And then that's like the answer. So unfortunately at the moment we can't correct the spelling mistake, but hopefully somewhere down the line we might be able to offer that. But if we can at least find out what the spelling mistake is, then we can test for that in the parents and the children that they might go on to have in future, so that they can have healthy children. So thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about what we do in the diagnostic lab. If you or someone you know is affected by mitochondrial disease, you may wish to contact the Lilly Foundation if you're in the UK. They are the leading mitochondrial disease charity, and they fund research, and they also provide information about mitochondrial disease and support for affected families. So I've been Charlotte Alston at Melogrammatical. Thank you very much for listening. And stay tuned for Andres Tretiakov, who is up next. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.